Spook.
Yes.
The Collingwood shits me clock is back. Better adjust it.
You're going to need a bigger clock. You should try chumming this shit.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am Pass Me the Beer Nut Spook.
We're coming to you following our first round loss.
But we lost?
We lost to the Cats.
No way.
Yes, we
predicted a win last week.
And they did not listen to us.
Fuckers.
I mean, you took all our intel last year and changed your game plan to make it a grand final, but yet you don't listen to us last week. Really?
You're going to make us work just as hard this year, aren't you, Collingwood?
I know. This is just disappointing.
We wanted a lazy gig. We just wanted to come here and just glorify wins.
And drink beer.
And drink beer.
And drink beer.
And then drink beer.
So what did you think of that game? And keep the profanity down, for fuck's sake.
On the night, I was pretty annoyed. Annoyed on the back of things like, and it's something I said to you earlier, is that they had six debutants. One of them was Gary Rowan, who I could have put in a better performance. I think he was there for comedy relief. Dalehouse was there. He ran around a little bit. But we had a full-strength side, I think, barring... one or two.
Missed a few Adams, Hoskin Elliott.
But we were pretty good. And
Daniel Wells.
If we'd kicked straight, we would have won by about 4 or 5 goals. So I think at the end of the day, I thought, look, scrappy, crappy, shappy, dappy. We should have won, and we should have won comfortably. And I was annoyed on the night, as I said, but after watching the rest of the weekend unfold, round 1, high.
Let's qualify it. So round 1...
And we're not qualified for anything.
We're a little bit qualified. Round 1, typically a lot of fumbles, shanks.
There's probably a lot more than a lot of fumbles. Yeah. I think they got all the fumbles.
We got them all in. We played... I don't know. I mean, do you think there's a little bit of arrogance there that we thought, okay, we made a grand final last year, let's load up, here we go, we'll run over the top of everyone. Do you feel there was a bit of a millionaire's attitude there?
Oh, geez, I don't know how you'd actually get a gauge for that. But if that's the case, hello, wake-up call. That'd be a little bit too arrogant for being arrogant, I would have thought. No, I probably wouldn't have thought that, but maybe, who knows.
All right, so we had 2 debutants ourselves, really, in Darcy Moore and Jamie Elliott, returning. How do you think they looked?
They were best on ground, as far as I was concerned. For us, they were exceptionally good, both of them. I really liked Darcy up back and Elliott, welcome back. It really goes to show, if those two were in the grand final side last year...
We would have lost by 3 points.
This would be the Collingwood happiness, not the Collingwood Rant.
I think there's always a reason to rant. Interesting thing with Elliott that
This better be interesting.
He played well, but Myercheck and Cox and all that seemed lost.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that.
We'll get to it now. And there's always that chemistry thing when you bring new players in. How do they synergise with the rest of the side?
Yeah.
Elliott seemed to be playing full forward for the most part of the game, which ended up pushing Myercheck and Cox out further. So I do wonder if they're going to be able to make that work, if that's the setup they're going to go with.
Yeah, it's learning. I mean, you look at Beams too. It's very, very quiet. And learning playing in a different structure with different players is going to be a little bit unsettling there for a little while, I think. So, yeah, that was to be expected, but we didn't predict it. Yeah,
my cousin Nicholas made a good point that if you go back to 2010, it probably took about 8 rounds before Jolie and Ball really fit in.
Yeah, agree on that one.
So... hopefully, Elliott and Moore are still there in 8 rounds. That's a bit of a worry. One thing that really annoyed me, and
just one
of the 100 things that really annoyed me, and we talked about playing like millionaires, is just some really dumb things they did. So you had that beautiful bit of play where he ran the ball down the ground, sent it to Phillips at centre half forward. He takes a mark. He could go back, have a shot. He could draw the man and go for a handball over the top, and instead he plays on straight in front and snaps from about 40, which is probably not a range you should be snapping from anyway. You get to the last quarter when we had a bit of a run on. Varco takes the mark about 35 out. He handballs to the goalie. He's flat-footed, got his back to goal. And then Thomas, who's got a player bearing down him, charges past and calls for the ball. The goalie handballs. Thomas gets tackled. What looked like a certain goal is now, nothing. And I've always been a big believer that really bad errors like that, particularly that second one.
Do you mean dumb football?
Yeah, dumb football. And really blatant examples of that can be demoralising where, the rest of the players, it doesn't have to be everyone, just a handful of players just drop their heads and think, shit, I worked really hard to help get that ball there. And they just become unfocused for a little bit. Whereas, you get those sort of really good bits of play where it galvanises the team, they get momentum, and they feel like they're running on top of water and all that sort of stuff. So that really disappointed me. I remember in 1986, going back a while, when Lee Matthews...
Wavy lines?
Yeah. My cousin and I used to go watch Collingwood train, and I recall they were doing match training, and Brian Taylor, who was full forward at the time, took a mark about 30 out straight in front of a goal. Matty Ryan ran past. He called for it, Taylor handball, but Matty Ryan drilled the goal, and Lee Matthews blew his whistle and blew his fucking gasket and just said, if you have a mark and you're that far out straight in front, you do not handball it. You go back, you take the responsibility, you have the shot. And this is one thing I really think really hurt.
Didn't you say, can't you just pivot on one foot and snap over your shoulder?
No, why pivot? Just kick it over your head. This is one thing that really annoys me. And, the goalie annoys me that he handballed off the Thomas. You need guys who are just going to say, I'm going to take the responsibility. I'm going to kick it. Varco as well.
Like Grundles and Pendles did.
Yeah. Well, kick it a little bit better than those two. And Treloar. I'm not going to get to that in a second. But if you're going to win games, you need players who are going to take the responsibility to go when it's their turn to go. Surioli, that was one of the great things about him. He knew when to go and when to just sort of lay off. Why players are laying off or going for the ridiculous snap around the body, 40 straight out, it's dumb football, extravagant football. Just pare it back and do the really simple things.
Just kick the goal.
Yeah, well, that's the really simple thing.
That's what you're out there for.
Well, look at some of the disposal efficiency. So I checked some of the figures. Maynard, 87.5%, had 16 disposals. Pendlebury, 83.3%, had 24 disposals. How? 80%, which surprised me because I thought...
80% of the time he kicked it out to the opposition.
Well, I don't know how they measured its efficiency, but he had 15 disposals. Callum Brown had 77.8%.
He only had 2 possessions.
He only had 9 possessions, though, which is, you can't really expect to continue playing if you're going to produce those sort of statistics. Sidebottom really surprised me. 73.1% from 26 disposals. Which
How many disposals, though, hit the ankles of his teammates?
Well, yeah, they're effective.
That'd be 176%?
Yes.
It would have come back 3 times, I think. He just kicked it. It's like one of those balls on a piece of elastic.
Well, I mean,
with a paddle.
It really surprised me. I mean, I don't go back and rewatch losses because why would I? But
Don't you have enough pain in your life already?
Yeah, I have a lot of pain, and Collingwood contributes to a lot of it. But you get a lot of, or when you're watching the game as it's unfolding, you tend to sort of note where players are kicking it, and you look at it and go, and I really thought Sidebottom burned it quite a bit, if not blatantly, then handballs to the ankles and shit like that.
I saw players trying to mark a ball with asbestos gloves on when he kicked it to them.
Beam, 69.6%, 23 disposals. Crisp, 65.4%, 26 disposals, and I could swear I don't recall him hitting a target, so that's a really good return. Tom Phillips, 62.5%, 24 disposals. Now, Phillips, I reckon, is going to come under a little bit of pressure because he's got probably one of those positions that's vulnerable. And you've got guys like Sire and Adams to come back.
Oh, good.
Adam Treloar, who was pretty much given best on ground by everybody. Yep. He had 34 disposals at 61.8%, and one of those...
Hang on a second, I'll just stop you there. How many disposals?
34.
Best on ground.
And he had that running shot at goal where he did all the hard work, he got balanced, got back on his right side, and he kicked it on the full, and he acknowledged it was a bad kick and all that, but usually that's something he nails 9 times out of 10, so we saw the 10th time. But 61.8% is just terrible.
He had a mare.
Jaden Stevenson...
Was he playing?
Well, apparently, 16 disposals. 16 disposals.
16 pizzozals.
16
Can you believe that? 16 pizzozals.
How
many skadoodles?
He's dispossessed. At 56.3%. So
hang on a second. Aren't they meant to count the possessions on the ground? They're not including what he did in the training rooms beforehand.
Well, I don't know. I did
Change rooms.
Change. Please.
They might as well be a training room.
Brodie Grundy.
Get something out of the day.
18 disposals for 55.6%. I can't pronounce things anymore. He was getting a few frees, and I was like, oh, okay, these are all the ones that, they're making up for him. But then I started pinging him.
Where's the yin and yang?
Oh, we're getting yang.
Did he know why he was getting impinged?
No one knows. I whinged about this last week. Everyone turns around and goes, who's frees it? How can the AFL actually allow that to continue? I mean, it's been going for about 10 years.
Who shot that gun?
Yeah. So, and nobody, and commentators never even comment about it. They just go, oh, well, whose is it? And nobody says, why does this keep happening? Why does no one know? Finally, there's obviously other players on the field, allegedly. The Goey, 10 disposals for 50%, which is really,
How did Wells go?
Wells had his most effective game, yet he did not get injured.
Good work. Good work, Wellsy. We're here for you.
One thing that really annoyed me as the game went on, one of the 100 things that really annoyed me is I kept waiting for us to have that little burst where we're going to get on top of them.
Oh, we had a burst.
We burst, not we had a burst.
Like a tyre.
Yeah.
Or a bladder.
And it didn't happen. They had their burst. And what actually happened was their playmakers, Ablett at 46 years of age, Selwood, what's he, about 39, and Dangerfield is 28. Their three senior players, they all stood up and they took ownership of the game. Tim Kelly totally dominated.
Yep.
So when the game was there to be won, those guys stood up and they won it for Geelong. Whereas our guys just remained totally...
Seated.
Yeah, they were all laying down.
Sat on their hands.
Yeah, and that was something where I'm just thinking... Because as the game unfolded, I'm thinking, geez, this is a lot like the grand final where it's close. Who will stand up and win it for us? And the answer is the same for both games. Now, in the past, we've actually had a vulnerability to losing close games. I thought originally it was probably due to a lack of class and polish, but now looking at it, I'm thinking it's not that, because you have classy players in there like Wells and Elliott, De Goey, Stevenson. You have a number of them there. But the problem is, and I'm not going to put the onus too much on De Goey, who's just come in, and Stevenson is only his second year.
But you will.
But I'm not going to put it on them, because there's other guys in there, and Elliott, who's playing his first game in 9 years. But there's other guys like Beams and Pendlebury and Sidebottom. Sidebottom, the commentators keep telling me he's such a classy player. So...
Only Sidey could do that.
Yes. And it's like...
Oh, look at him!
Who's going to stand up and win the game when the game is there to be won? Unfortunately, I think Pendles is moving away from that in terms of, his ability to do that. Like, I was...
He had a good captain's point.
Yeah, but I was thinking about, I don't know if you remember, like about 4 years ago, we played Carlton and it was really close and he streamed from the centre and he kicked the ceiling goal. Did that also against Geelong. So, he used to do that for us. But, at his age and profile, he's probably not the one to look to. And now there's that whole middle range, like Treloar, like Sidebottom. Grundy's in there now. Guys who should be standing up and saying, you know what, I'll pull us over the line. I will do what's required. And I know football's not, as easy as just sort of saying, yeah, I'm going to will us over the line. But geez, you really need some on-field leadership. And that's one of the concerns that I've had with Collingwood for years. It's just, what is that on-field leadership like? When things are starting to rattle, who is actually turning around and going, come on, focus.
Like Maxi used to do.
Maxi used to do it brilliantly. And, the guy I've actually seen do it a bit is Taylor Adams. He's the one who's shouting. I remember, in games he's pulled players in and had to talk to them before they've gone back on and stuff like that. I don't see Pendles really do that. Maybe he does that on field. Maybe he's not like a vocal, animated type, so maybe we don't see it. Or he might do it, in the change rooms and stuff like that. But...
Does he send them text messages?
He probably sends them emails or faxes. Read my fax.
Or a parchment.
You're fired.
Carrier pigeon.
Oh, that'll just shit all over.
Carry a magpie.
Oh, the Magpies aren't carrying anything. But yeah, it's just who's going to win the game when the game is there to be won. So
let's find out this Thursday night.
I would like to find out. Do you have any final thoughts about this?
Oh, look, I was pretty annoyed. I think the weekend balanced out a little bit that annoyance, but it is round one. It threw up a whole bunch of bizarreness. Things can only get better. So I think we probably got that out of our system early, which is good. And we should come back and beat Richmond by 148 points now, just to show we're serious.
You know when the Titanic left the dock, it nearly hit a yacht.
I thought you said it improved too, shipping ports.
It nearly hit a yacht. And they just missed it. So, good on them. But I'm sure people on board are going, well, this can only get better. So, we'll be right back with the return of...
The Jedi!
No, there's no... Jedi have ended, apparently. Right back with Media Mephitic.
Oh, I like that segment. It's good.
It's Mephitic. So, welcome back for the year's first episode of Media Mephitic.
What's Robbo been up to this week?
Come on, I'm not going to pick on Robbo.
Nah, well, I think we'll leave him alone this year. So what's he done?
We'll get there. Let's just start with Pendles. Wasn't aware he's had back surgery over the off-season. He said that second half of last year he could barely bend over and pick up the ball a lot of the time. So that was, really interesting to find out because he was getting a lot of criticism from somebody...
The Bear?
Chief. Yeah, getting a lot of criticism for being quieter and...
He's past it. Yeah. And he's back. I mean, he's got the back of a 90-year-old man.
He's been carrying the club for about 4 years. I actually thought the first quarter on the bit, he was actually really good.
No, he was.
And then that was it. The first quarter on the bit.
But you could say that about a lot of people.
Yes. Well, some people didn't even do the bit. Tell me who said this.
Robbo.
You've got it right.
All right, what's the next segment?
And people say, you can't say that. He's got mental health issues.
About Robbo?
No, he's a professional. This is what Robbo said. He's a professional footballer.
You spoiled it. Should we put up a spoiler?
No. He's a spoiler. He's a professional footballer and he's drinking 2 weeks out. I mean, that is just ridiculous. They're paying him a lot of money. Separately, unless people are going to say the alcohol is the issue, which adds to his mental health, I wish him luck. But we can't comment on it because we're not allowed to comment on it. Because if you say something about someone who's got mental health, people say you can't say that and you get in trouble. Now, is it wrong for me to doubt Jesse Hogan? Yes, it is. But am I doubting him? A little bit of me is, because all these stories are going around. So let's backtrack, Robbo. You can't comment on it because we're not allowed to comment on it. Because if you say something about someone who's got mental health issues, people say you can't say that and you get in trouble. You get in trouble because you say fucking stupid things like about Alex Asolo. Depression one day, training the next, must be good drugs. I mean, that's where, in what environment, what landscape is that an acceptable comment? Someone who's dealt with mental health issues and Collingwood, I can just say sometimes you actually drink the Coke because it's the only way to dull what's going on inside your head.
That should be on the membership campaign.
Well, drink yourself to insensibility. So Mark Robinson, you're a fucking embarrassment yet again making any comments about mental health. Just shut up. Because you really aren't very bright when it comes to this. And trying to come across as like enlightened and rational, you're just coming across as a fucking dickhead.
I didn't think the two were mutually exclusive with him.
You are totally right. New 666 rule. 666 rule.
The number of the beast.
Yes. What did you think of it?
I think it was it's working beautifully. I mean, we had record scores. You just couldn't stop. We kicked about 48 goals in the first quarter.
Well, we didn't have record scores because apparently the average score per team was 78.7 points, which is the lowest since 1965.
But hang on, this was brought in to fix all this. They're fixing the thing that wasn't broken.
Well, I did watch some of the St Kilda Suns game, and the commentators were lauding, hey, these are the most goals we've gotten from centre clearances ever. Great. 666 rule has fixed this. So it's like...
Oh, problem solved then.
Were you watching games last year and thinking, you know what, there's not enough goals coming out from the centre bounce?
Yeah, we need a 666 rule.
I mean, I don't know anyone who's saying that. And isn't it moot once the ball's bounced?
No, the moot was in defence.
Yeah, but in terms of the 6-6 rule, is it not?
Well, you'd think so. I mean, the minute the ball's bounce, they're all moving in anyway. So what are they going to run a couple of extra metres with this thing? Like, I understand on the kick-outs, it's probably going to be a little bit more influential there. So if you get it and you break and you run up the other end, you've got more chance of outrunning that congestion. But no, on the centre breaks, I wouldn't have thought so.
Oh, unless you're actually sending players back for every bounce, I find it, redundant. And the thing like... where people are saying, it's a close game in times past, they could have set, put another player in defence or 2 players, and now they can't do that. Isn't that great? It's like, why? It's like people who make the comment, you shouldn't be able to mark from a kick that goes backwards. It's like, why? Because, you know, if you, like Geelong did it to us on Friday night, once they got the lead, they just chipped the ball around for a while. Well, you know, they're entitled to do that.
Old school football.
You know, they got the lead, they can do what they want. They can put the ball on the ground and sit on it as long as they can get away with it for as long as they can. So, you know, who cares? It just really is stupid that people think...
Sitting on the ball.
Yeah, I think we've sat on some things. Kilometres run by every team over the weekend. Carlton was on top with 292 kilometres. Tigers, who was...
They were running away from the ball.
running away from the bottom. Tigers were 288. We're in the 8th place with 277 kilometres. Geelong was in 6th place with 279 kilometres. So they really didn't run much more than us.
No.
They just ran to the right places. Giants were second last with 242 kilometres. And I don't know, I mean, like I did check this, but I can't imagine this is right. Essendon on the bottom with 147 kilometres. Surely that's not right.
No, I think they must have had some like silhouette cardboard cutouts or something out there.
Oh, that would be like... But to run 100 kilometres less than every other team, I don't know, the whole team's got gastro or something.
It must be hard to run when you've got a lot of excrement in your pants.
No, that's true. But that club's been full of shit for years.
All sorts of shit.
Nathan Buckley said this on SEN.
That's interesting.
Yes. He said, there are some coaches and some people who watch football that believe that the coach's box manipulates play and is the major reason for results in close games.
Is he talking about you?
Possibly. Most people do. I would suggest that the major reason you get results in close games is because you do the basics really well and it matters. Well, we didn't. The leaders on the field have the capacity to step up and do what it takes when it's asked. Ultimately, the teams that win close games are full of players that get the mix right. And I'm reading this and thinking, or listening to it, thinking, well, yeah, he's right. It's up to the players. But the players who are on the field are actually the responsibility of the coaching staff. You know, if you want to do something like, I'll go back 28 years when Mick Malthouse played Rupert Beferris at fullback on Michael O'Loughlin, and Michael O'Loughlin just killed him, and you're just sort of looking at going, well, that was never going to work out well. Beferris isn't the fullback. He's probably not mobile enough for O'Loughlin, so it's like, I don't think you put the responsibility entirely on Beferris. In situations of games, surely you can't put the responsibility entirely on players when the coach is responsible for those players who are filling those roles. To backtrack a bit, because I actually forgot this, against Geelong, would you have played Levi Greenwood as a tagger instead of Callum Brown?
Oh no, I don't think Selwood. You know, apart from the end when he did lift a bit, he wasn't all that damaging during the game. So I don't know whether.
But you could have actually used him on that Kelly, who I think was best on ground.
Yeah, has he got the tank to run with Kelly? He's pretty quick compared to Selwood.
I don't know.
Selwood, you just got to sort of just make sure your arms are near his head when he ducks, so you can get a free. That's the only.
I should actually point out, I
played on Selwood.
Selwood's a brilliant player. I think he's arguably the best captain in the league, but that pro wrestling acting whenever he gets contact, it's really annoying. You know, when Varco fell on him and shoved his arm into Selwood's face, and like, I'm fine, that was a free. But Selwood playing it up like, oh, you know.
I don't think, though, when he was tackled and he dropped the ball, that it should have been
possibly,
before the arm went up, you know, and that drop in motion.
Oh, I think, yeah. But just sort of saying, looking at that bit in isolation, the way he overplayed that, you know, it's really annoying. And I recall Matthew Lloyd talking about how he did start diving later in his career, and now when he looks back, he regrets that he did it. And it's like, I wonder if Selwood will look back at some point in the future and just say...
I think when Lloyd came out in those old school diving bell helmets and stuff, that's probably when he was going too far with it. He had the hose there. And
I think... no, I actually won't say that. Off the back of Alex Rance's knee injury, Collingwood became premiership favourites. I don't know where that stands now, but we lost. But
we'll be back in the mix. I mean, the punters determine this every week, don't they? I don't understand how it works.
I don't know. I don't know anything. And thank you to Dingo for this stat. Of West Coast's last 14 games, Josh Kennedy has played 5 of those games, and 3 of them were against Collingwood.
How did we go?
Yeah, I think we might have narrowly lost some unimportant games there. Thanks, Josh.
So, and Kennedy's ruled out this week, I believe, but he should be fit for round 3.
Oh, definitely. He will be... They'll conduct a seance and get him back in for it. Yeah. Oh, that's just astonishing, but that's typical of what happens to us. Anyway, do you have anything to add?
No.
That's it for Medium Acidic. We'll be right back with Oh, the round 2 preview.
Oh, good. Who are we playing?
I don't know. But we'll be right back.
Let's look it up.
Welcome back. It is time for the Collingwood Richmond round 2 match preview, which is being played on Thursday night. Good scheduling, AFL.
At the House of Pain.
I would love to go to that game and not have to worry about work the next day like the bulk of your supporters.
Good one to take the kids to.
Yes,
school night.
great game. Yeah, get the kids back.
It's important that we all watch it on the TV and keep that advertising revenue coming through.
Yeah, but you can just inflate what the figures are. I mean, you hear when the commentators start estimating crowds, like some of the other commentators just scoff, just go, yeah, like it's that many, really. So no Alex Rance. Surely he's a sneaky chance. It's Collingwood. Surely they could probably get him in there.
He'll come back for one game for the year.
Yeah, strap like a couch cushion to his knee, just sit him at full forward.
A couple of sticks, give him a bullet to bite.
Yeah, bullet will go off, hit 4 of our players in the knee, and they'll be off, and that'll be it. So the website, Collingwood's website, says these 4 players are in the mix, and when I saw these 4 players, it's like, really? So Greenwood's in the mix.
Oh.
Yeah, I can understand you probably playing him on Cochin or Martin. Flynn Appleby.
Oh, this could be the clincher.
I didn't think defence was really that much of a problem
No.
on Friday night until it just all opened up. Tyler Brown, who still only weighs like about 61 kilos.
No chance.
I mean, Tyler Brown's like, turns around and that's what you see.
He's puffed his chest out.
They do that, you know. And Ben Crocker are all in the mix.
Does he play for us?
Yeah, he played a few games for us.
Okay.
Of those 4 players, Greenwood, I can understand why you might play him, and you might want to give Callum Brown a couple more, see how he goes. But I can understand you might say, well, let's start tagging a few midfielders like Luke Shuey and Trent Cotchin. But I don't see where any of these other guys would actually fit. Appleby, do you really think the Maynard, Crisp, Langdon, because they're the 3 small defenders?
No, and we had, and the one good thing out of last week was no injuries, so there's not like there's a cloud over anyone.
Well, there are 2 days to go.
That's true. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
A ship could fall on them.
A ship has fallen on them, no doubt. So I don't really see why Appleby is in the mix. There's no disrespect to Appleby, but just in that
I
defence.
can't believe you give him no respect.
Well, I was talking to someone else about the defence, and it's like, okay, so that's the 6 they played, but you still got guys like Dunn and Goldsack, and I'm missing someone I can't remember, but, possibly to come back in.
Wells?
No. There's another defender I'm missing. And then long term, you have Will Kelly, possibly who could come in, but he'll probably just get a few games here and there. Defence to me seems pretty short up unless you have injuries. And Scharenberg's another one, like later down in the year, where hopefully he'll get a few
Very
games.
late.
Yeah, but I'm imagining with Scharenberg this year, they'll probably only just give him a taste of it again, just get him to run around a bit, get a bit of his confidence. But yeah, defence doesn't really seem to need an injection of anything.
No, and we've got to stop Lynch and Reeves.
So Lynch, who will play on Lynch and Rewalt?
I think Moore will stand Lynch, surely. We'll start on that, and
You'd think
Howe will go to Reeves.
Yep. But what about Roughhead?
He can go to whoever he wants.
Yeah.
Who's that little bloke that throws the ball up in the air and kicks a goal?
Higgins.
Yeah. Maybe you can go and sit on him.
If he's done with Magnum PI.
Mm.
Yeah. So what are any thoughts about this game? So last year we ran them close to 3/4 of 2 games. In both games we lost multiple players and they ran over the top of us. They were too strong.
And they finished well against the Blues, even though they were insipid.
Yeah, and I was told last year when I
Richmond, that is.
discussed those home and away games not to use injuries as an excuse because we lost players in both games. Then we smashed them in the prelim and about 19 Richmond supporters cited their injuries. So I guess you can do it.
Well, they got one now, so they can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, they had Martin who apparently was carrying something.
He had a missing stop on his boot or something.
I think he was just carrying the team for a year. And Asprey, a night at the Asprey.
He choked on his aspirations.
Yes. What a line. He I don't know, he had like flu or something really severe like that.
Hmm.
So they had like 2 possible injuries, or not even injuries because they were playing. They had 2 players a little bit down.
Well, benefit of the doubt, they've only beaten by 10 goals this week.
So we've shown we can match it with them, but the prelim, everything had to click to really produce that result. And they did come at us hard, and, you know, we did hold them off ultimately. Probably where we really would seem too strong for them is when they play their relief ruck and Grundy just then goes and does what he wants.
Assuming he doesn't give away 50 threes.
Oh, well, he will. You don't have to assume. He will do it because apparently he's the reincarnation of Darren Jolly. Up forward, they don't have Rance. And Rance, you know, like I was reading today, they were talking about the certain players who are going to replace him. And I'm thinking, no, you don't replace a guy like Alex Rance. You know, there's certain players in your team you can't replace. You obviously can put someone in their position, but they're not going to be able to produce the same level that a guy like Rance would. You know, he's just too important to them structurally, and that could really hurt him for the rest of the year. So you got
That's a shame.
Yeah, that would be a shame. So you have guys like Cox and that who hopefully can get loose. What are your thoughts?
I reckon they're going to come at us extremely hard. They want to atone for that prelim loss, but I don't know whether they're going to be able to sustain it though. So I think if we can weather that early storm, we'd be in a very good position to win this one. But it's got to come down to how well we're going to pick up from this week, I think, too. That we have to... I don't think we're going to come out all guns blazing. It's only round 2, but, you know, you're looking at the West Coast the following week. I would have thought a win against Geelong would have been good for that first 3 tough games. This now sort of feels a little bit more must-win, but not the end of the world if we don't, as long as we beat that other thing next week. Or maybe we beat both. That'd be a good outcome as well. But no, look, I think I'm quietly confident that we can do this. I thought Richmond's form the other night, they started well against a rampaging Carlton, but then that rampaging Carlton actually rampaged and came back and got within, I think, 2 goals.
Yeah.
And Richmond just looked terrible. Then they had that really, you know, way that they finished a lot of games last year where they'd really run over the top of them. But I think the Blues had spent everything to get to that 2-goal margin, so it sort of flatters Richmond a little bit. But I think but they didn't look that great. They didn't look that switched on, but nobody really does.
Yeah.
So I think we can capitalise. If we come back and consolidate, look at why everything that didn't work from Friday night works, like maybe kicking it between those 2 big sticks.
Might try something new like that.
Not fumbling every 8 seconds. We'd be a very good chance, I think. I'm confident. Not a big win, but maybe only 78 points.
Well, the thing I wonder with Richmond, every premiership team develops mystique about them. You know, they're the team to beat. And for a while, that will carry them even when their form is not great. And you really saw that with Bulldogs. After they won the flag, the next year, about the first 8 games, they still looked great. But teams were chipping away at them, and then you saw that was starting to fall apart. And once they lost that self-belief themselves, then they became vulnerable. The one thing with Richmond, which people are saying, well, I don't know if it's true or not, because I know nothing about football, is that us smashing them in the prelim really showed clubs how to play them. And that's, you know, now put a chink in their armour. Now, whether they are still, you know, the 2017... 18? Well, yeah, I can't remember. 2017 Premiership side, and they still have that aura about them, that self-belief. You know, that remains to be seen, but I think they're going to come down to the pack a bit. But my concern with Collingwood is what I saw last week, that fumbling was really, really worrisome. Because that's been endemic of a lot of Buckley's sides over the last 17 years.
Failing dismally also at the centre clearances isn't going to... I mean, Richmond's midfield's not that great.
Oh, well, we have the greatest midfield of all time, apparently, and...
not great at winning the ball in the middle, though.
No, or around any clearance or any stoppage.
Or running both ways.
Yeah. You know, and again, that might just be chemistry. You know, players might be looking at one another and just going, well, when do you go? When do I go? Now that Beams is in there.
Are we going to click this week? Should we click? Maybe we'll click?
I really think when we've looked vulnerable in the middle, it's when Adams isn't there. When Adams is there, he'll dive on the grenade to win the ball and he'll feed it out. And then you get guys like Treloar and Pendlebury who can use their attributes. Yeah. You know, and I thought that Beams would bring a bit of that, but he didn't really do that last week.
He's gonna. It'll be a few games I think before he settles into things like we said at the start.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't look to him to be dependent on anything. At the moment.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Is like I really worry when Adams isn't there, and if you, in my opinion, the qualifying final we lost to West Coast last year occurred when Adams went off with stunned in the last quarter, and you could see he was dazed. And he went off. I don't know for how long. About 5-6 minutes, but that's when they turned the momentum and their midfield got on top, and then they started running over the top of us. Until that point, we're only a couple of goals ahead, but it felt like we were actually in control of it. When they came, we lifted and all that sort of stuff. So with Adams not there, I actually really worry about our midfield. I could be worried for nothing, and just that skill level, I just worried again. The skills have always been an issue at Collingwood. So I'm not going to, I look at round one and think, okay, I'm sure that contributed, but that's always been a bit of concern. I'm actually going to tip Collingwood publicly. I'm going to tip Collingwood by 3 points.
What about quietly? What do you think we're going to lose?
I actually think we're going to lose.
I'll let that bit out.
I hope we don't. Obviously,
I think we're going to win, Spook.
I just coming out of that grand final loss, everyone thought, okay, we're going to use that as a springboard to dominate the season and make a grand final attain, and I hope that's the case. But clubs don't always come out of grand finals with that impetus. Sometimes they get fractured a little bit.
Well, I heard today it's the first time that both grand finalists lost a round one game since 1804 or something like that. Well, it's been a while. It was 1970 or 90 or something.
I bet we'll.
But it's been quite a few years. But it's not one of those things that happens all that often.
I bet we'll. Last thing too.
I think we're in all of them.
West Coast doesn't care. I mean, they want the flag. With us,
very lacklustre though too. So.
Yeah, I mean Brisbane's coming up too, and Brisbane at home and all that sort of stuff. And again, those young teams always come out firing because they really put a lot into the pre-season to, jump the season when it begins. And then as the young players tired, they tend to fall away in the second half of the year. So you can't really judge that entirely in isolation. We'll have to see in retrospect. But I'm just worried with Collingwood. I'm a little bit worried that we're just going to take a little bit to get going this year.
Oh, that's probably to be expected though. I did hear Bucks a little bit on his end say that one of the regrets of the off season is they didn't train enough in the in humid evenings.
No, well.
So I know what's the forecast for Thursday night? Maybe we might get a couple of late night sessions in with some ice cubes thrown at them or something.
Well, I don't know. What is it? I think it's all 20s this week. Well, I don't know. I mean, again, these are my fears. Usually I'm pretty confident. The reality what I say, usually I'm pretty confident. This game I'm not. I usually walk in the grand finals, and I've walked into a lot of them. I usually think we're going to win this.
How's that worked out so far?
Yeah, well, it's Collingwood. It's, So, I hope we win, but I fear the worst.
No, I think we'll win.
You think?
I think we'll win.
You think?
I said not by a great margin, but I think we'll eke out one for the ages.
Well, if we don't, you can go back as a black and white angel and change the result.
I don't think they'd be any worse than they were.
You have any votes for round one? Any thoughts? I mean, Elliot Moore.
I'm going to vote for Clive Palmer because he keeps fucking texting me every 5 minutes.
No, well, he probably wants you to have a Palmer.
For me,
that sounds good to me.
Elliot Moore would probably close the best on for me. And I'd probably be remiss not to give Adam Treloar 48 votes.
Okay, yeah.
Because everyone else did. I'm not sure about the third one. I think it sort of tapered off a fair bit there, and that says a lot that when two blokes struggling for fitness last year were your best ons, about how maybe collectively that whole playing group is still getting into that groove.
Yeah, I probably was really
needs to get into that groove.
It's probably, I agree with Elliot and Moore. The guy I was really impressed with. Really shook
Wells?
No, Lachlan Keefe. Thought he was great.
He was good.
I like Keefe. Keefe did Essendon a bit of a mischief. So, anyway, that's it from us for this week. Hopefully, we'll be here with brighter news next week.
With a win. We might do the party popper thing again. What the hell is going on here?
That's not popping. We'll see you out there.
Go Pies.
Later.